Based on interviews with more than a dozen U.S. troops, their commanders, Biden campaign officials, it appears, let's be charitable, that he's telling a little bit of a fib, or he's just lying, or even worse, he doesn't know. I don't know what it is, because he's doing an awful lot of stepping on himself and gaffing himself, and it's like death by 1,000 cuts now. Oh, wait, your mom's still alive. Remember that guy? Oh, your mom's still alive. Stand up, Chuck. Oh, God bless you, Chuck. Oh, God bless you. You're in a wheelchair. Sorry, Chuck. You know, remember, as a senator in 75, Biden opposed busing. Remember that? In other words, integration. He supported segregation. And, you know, then, of course, we have his plagiarism issues of, you know, law school paper. And then, of course, Neil Kinnock, word for word, and Bobby Kennedy. And, you know, I still think the worst thing he ever said is, I mean, for the first time ever, you got a mainstream African-American who's articulate, bright, and clean. That's storybook, man. Hey, what are you talking about? I'm not a northeastern state. My state's a slave state. We take truth over facts. I'm like, wow, this is, you know, woof. It's shocking. You can't go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. Okay, good luck with that. And it goes on from there. You know, and then we're going to put you all back in chains. Or, you know, then you have a creepy touching. I mean, it's getting to the point, it's absolute madness. This is not, to have your wife come out and say, you may have to swallow and vote for my husband. Wow. Or to bring your doctor in and have your doctor say, no, his brain is working. His brain is working. He's making up war stories. Then he's telling us, but I'm not going nuts. Okay, that's nice to know. He's confusing New Hampshire with Vermont. This is all recently. You know, it's one after the other. Says he was vice president during the Parkland massacre. No, you were not, Joe. You were gone by then. It was over. And there are at least 3 genders. Joe 30330. You know, hey, by the way, poor kids are just as bright as white kids. Wow. Imagine if Trump said that one. Imagine the media mob. And we believe in truth over facts. And, oh, yeah, we had the shootings. Remember back-to-back shootings that took place? One in Dayton. The other one took place in Texas. And El Paso, that particular. Remember that weekend happened within hours? Yeah, he said they happened in Houston and Michigan. Whoa, Joe 30330. Of course, he said nice things about segregationists. Joe 30330. I don't know what to tell you. This is their candidate. They're trying. You're all laughing. I'm not even trying to be funny. It's funny. I watch him. He is aged. Something has happened. He looks so different than he did when he left office. He looks right, and he's like more hunched over. He's got no energy. Like, you know, he's just like skipping along, and he can't give a speech. Now, I guess they'll throw him on a teleprompter. Good luck in the debates with no teleprompter. Anyway, 800-941-SEAN, toll-free number. We'll continue.
Making America first, safe and great again. This is the Sean Hannity Show.
Ultima 2100 grease for your industrial and agricultural needs. Find out more at royaloilus.com.
Really looking at the TVs. And when they say almost every detail of Joe Biden's war story is false, they're kind of sending a message, we're done with you. I watched him closely. I don't know what it is. He seems to me, in my observation, just being blunt and honest, to have aged dramatically in the time since he left office as vice president. It just doesn't look like the same guy. And he looks older. He acts, walks. His presence is older, much older. Now, we're all going to get old. There's nothing wrong with being old. I'm older than everyone in front of me right now. But that's not the point. Donald Trump is a young, vibrant, in the game, on his game, kind of president with a lot of energy. And I don't see that energy, that fight in Biden. It looks like he's gotten hunched over. It looks like when he's like, oh, another picture. Oh, I'm so tired. That's the impression I get. And I think these gaffes are indicators that if he ever had an A game, which I can make a good argument that he's always been a C player, and as much as he's never had an A game, he's always had a C game, which is why he never went anywhere when he went for president. But or maybe he's being forced or feels an obligation or a duty to do this. This is the wrong job if you think you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And then he couldn't explain at all why he's running. Why are you running? I didn't have an explanation. Now, one last thing, and we'll get to meteorologist Joe Bastardi. The New York Times sounds like they're ready to pull the plug. I was just curious. I was looking at the New York Times over the weekend because that's how bored I get when I'm off 4 days, and I'm such a loser. And I just read and sleep and have a drink and eat a steak and read some more. Anyway, the former vice president can appear on some days like a man longing for the hard-earned retirement that he had been enjoying after 8 years as Barack Obama's vice president. Now, when I read that, I said, holy crap, that's what I've been saying that. And then they go on. He could have easily strolled off into the warm twilight, possessed of abundant goodwill, newfound wealth, time to enjoy his family, and space to grieve the death of his son, Beau, to cancer in 2015. That's got to be hard for any parent. I feel terrible for him for that. But with some exceptions, Biden's days as a potent and fiery stump speaker seem long past. Again, New York Times, I'm thinking, wow, they think like I think. And he can exude a level of weariness certain days. He can be as unfocused, long-winded, prone to misstatement as ever. He has kept up a steady run of blunders and embarrassments, including a report last week that the Washington Post that he had gotten several basic fundamental facts wrong in an emotional story he told about an Afghan war hero. Yet here was Mr. Biden at 76 trudging through the, another dog day of August in the extreme heat. He was just as finished up. He had just finished up a small rally in central Iowa, small meaning nobody shows up, held in a gazebo-like party space overlooking a pond. He seemed a bit riled up, and not in a good way. He became annoyed at a Fox News reporter who asked him about the relative smallness of his crowds compared to some of the other candidates, because I guess Elizabeth Warren now is top 10,000 in 2 speeches she's given. And then he said, I don't know what you're talking about. And then Biden crowds are smaller than the other candidates. Everyone thinks they know, and the polls know. I trust polls less than I trust most weather people. The only one I trust is weatherbell.com's Joe Bastardi, the official meteorologist of the Sean Hannity show. But I give this admonition and warning when Joe talks about hurricanes that happened, before my father was born. That means that he is showing us historically that there's a precedent for all of these hurricanes, and it's not what liberals in the media mob are likely telling you about climate change, the next ice age coming, global warming, we're about to all melt. And I admire your knowledge and experience, Joe Bastardi. How are you?
Very well. In fact, you brought up Mar-a-Lago and the wish that the hurricane would hit there. Well, I'm sure President Trump knows the history of South Florida hurricanes, where it got hit 8 times in 7 years in the 1940s. And that was when CO2 was very much below what it is now. So
hey, we take a moment to say another Hannity prediction has come true. Joe Bastardi is now going way back in time to explain the current hurricane. How is it going to impact? Here's the question. When is it going to hit? How bad? Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and up the East Coast. Charleston looks bad to me.
Charleston looks very bad. Matthew, for those of you in Florida, and Matthew, most of you are, similar situation as 2 years ago. And then that's the same thing with Georgia. But once the coast starts bending there, that's when things can get really nasty. Because even though the hurricane is going to be a Category 2 or 1, it's spreading out. And I just want to remind folks that this category thing is it's of course it's a Category 5. It's off the scale almost. But the category thing can be deceptive. We have a power and impact scale at Weather Bell that we've developed that incorporates the pressure and the size of the storm. So if you remember Sandy's highest winds were 85 to 90 miles an hour, but they were spread out all over the place. So what will happen is you'll be having hurricane-force wind gusts all the way to the coast, 6 to 12, maybe 15 hours, because this is moving slow. Now I'm talking about what happens up toward Charleston. Again, Florida, it's a just like Matthew, these storms cannot go inland. Very rarely do they go inland north of West Palm Beach up to Jacksonville. The way the coast is shaped and the fact that in that area you see winds collapse off makes it very difficult to get the hurricane in from the ocean in there. But what it does is it'll parallel the Florida coast, and then when the coast juts out, remember the coast juts out 350 miles north those longitude to Hatteras' longitude. That's when the storm, even if it turns northeast, can actually go ashore. And we've been, our forecast hasn't changed in 4 days. We believe this is going to try and make landfall at Cape Fear, North Carolina, probably around noon Thursday, and then come out through the Outer Banks and work its way out into the Atlantic after that. So the worst part of this storm is probably going to be South Carolina, North Carolina, and even southeast Virginia because of a unique situation that goes on there. The convergence of the wind from Chesapeake Bay and the Atlantic accelerates the wind in the tidewater sometimes. And you'll be seeing where the hurricane is causing high winds. All of a sudden, they'll show up near Norfolk, too. So that's something that we've got in the forecast also.
All right. So next question. I feel so bad for the people in the Bahamas. This thing just hovered like a helicopter. And I'm just thinking, wow, what was the sustained winds at times? What, 185, 200? That's a lot.
Yeah, that's right. It was every bit that way. The storm was very compact, relatively speaking, when it was 910 millibars. The 1935 storm had 185 mile an hour winds in the Keys, but the pressure was 892 millibars. So you can see.
Joe, I love you. Nobody knows what a millibar is. Nobody.
Well,
I don't even.
Maybe some. An isobar. That's where a meteorologist goes to get a cold drink. But what happens is, folks, that's a
isobar. That was very good, Joe. Okay, we love you. You're so nice, and you. All right, explain what a millibar is.
Well, it's a pressure measurement. The lower it is, the more powerful and more intense the storm is. And when they're focused like this, and this was a fist of fury, now it's starting to spread out. That wind, when the storm's intensifying, is ramped up. In other words, you might have, let's say, with Katrina, with the pressure was 920 millibars. It was down to 130, 125 miles an hour. So the point of the matter is that everything went almost perfectly. It was like I was in tropical meteorology class at Penn State, and my professor used to always say when they come up northwest and turn west, that's when they start intensifying rapidly, and that was a classic case of it. Now, why did it stop? Well, it's a cork in the stream, and as majestic as all these things look, and as big as they are,
Joe, majestic.
Around.
I know God has majesty. I mean, read Job. Job says, "Where were you when I was setting the foundations of the earth?" But this is life and death. This scares the crap out of me.
No, I understand. I'm talking about what people are viewing on TV. Look how big that is, right? Well, actually, in terms of the steering, Sean, it's quite small. It's like a cork in the stream. So if the stream flow collapses, the storm just stalls. Now, we see storms stalling all the time. We saw Hurricane Flora in '63 stall for 4 days over eastern Cuba. Fidel was accusing the United States of blocking the storm to destroy his island, and it dumped over 100 inches of rain in southeast Cuba. So we've seen this before. We just haven't seen a storm stall right in that particular area.
I'm just shocked we haven't heard a liberal commentator on fake news saying that Donald Trump caused the hurricane. It's coming. Some dope will say it. Well, I got to run because I got to get to other stories. All right, so we're going to have you on during the week. It really impacts Florida starting when? That's the last question.
Well,
just tell me what day.
it's impacting Florida tonight into tomorrow, and then later tomorrow. That's the worst weather in Florida. But
right up the eastern seaboard.
This storm, the guts of this storm is Wednesday night into Thursday.
All right, thanks, Joe Bastardi, weatherbell.com. All right, so the Washington Post is turning on Uncle Joe. He looks feeble to me. New York Times is saying it. Listen to how he's fabricating this war story. 28, 29, 30, listen to how he jumbles the three versions we have. This is version 1.
I've been in and out of Afghanistan and Iraq 28 times.
28.
I've been in and out of Iraq and Afghanistan over 29 times.
29.
I've been in and out of Afghanistan and Iraq over 30 times.
Over 30.
At the PRT, in a makeshift meeting room surrounded by rocks, mud, and sandbags, but filled with flat screens and computers, a 2-star general traveling with us performed an impromptu award ceremony.
2-star.
He gave a bronze star to a corporal who looked to me to be about 25 years old.
I found myself in Iraq being asked by General Ordiano, a 4-star.
4-star.
To pin a silver medal on a young captain. I have been asked in a forward operating base in the middle of a godforsaken nowhere in the upper Konar Valley in Afghanistan to pin a silver star on a young, coincidentally, Navy captain in what they call a FOB, a forward operating base. I pinned medals on silver stars on soldiers up in the upper Konar Valley in the middle of a firestorm the poor guys have gone through. Young Navy captain, Navy, up in the mountains in the Konar Valley in Afghanistan.
Who had pulled a badly wounded gunner to safety, returning fire to repel the enemy, and then keeping his buddy alive until medevac arrived.
Who had pulled someone out of a burning Humvee, risking his life. One of his buddies got shot, fell down a ravine about 60 feet. This guy climbed down a ravine, carried this guy up on his back under fire. He had gone down a ravine to rescue one of his men who had been shot, brought him back under hail of gunfire, was wounded.
All right, here's the deal, because we're running out of time. For the Washington Post to say, not even that almost every detail is a lie or false, depending on how charitable you might want to be, is breathtaking. This is a game changer. I'm telling you, New York Times, Washington Post have now flipped on Biden. And then Biden, the guy who said, we take truth over facts. I'm like, huh? Joe 30330. Then he says in an interview this weekend, details are just irrelevant.
Not judgment, Mr. President. No, not judgment, but details. Because that's something I've heard from some voters, maybe not at your events, but details.
No, but the details are irrelevant in terms of decision-making. If, in fact, I forget that it was Rodriguez of all the times. I've been in and out of Afghanistan and Iraq and Bosnia.
28, 29.
As much as anybody, except maybe 30. My deceased friend John McCain and maybe Lindsey Graham. And so the fact that I would forget that it was Rodriguez who was pinning, I believe this is the case, pinning a bronze star on a young man.
2-star, 4-star.
It's irrelevant to the point. It's like saying, I had this very bright reporter and I think her eyes were blue. What difference would it make about whether you were a bright reporter? Your eyes are brown. It's irrelevant, and you know it.
Okay. Is that going to be their candidate? That's a problem.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
The Republican Party is, as far as I can tell, is gone, dead, and buried. It's probably never coming back.
Doesn't exist.
Because the alternative to not spending the money is A, death, and B, spending even more money.
Donald Trump's loan documents there show that he has co-signers. That's how he was able to obtain those loans and that the co-signers are Russian oligarchs.
What? Really?
Freedom is back in style. Welcome to the revolution.
Yeah, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song.
Sean Hannity. The new Sean Hannity Show. More behind-the-scenes information on breaking news and more bold, inspired solutions for America.
During the 2012 military offensive in Gaza, you tweeted, Israel has hypnotized the world. May Allah awaken the people and help them see the evil doings of Israel. How do you put that into context now, and what do you say to American Jews?
So I remember when that was happening, watching TV and really feeling as if no other life was being impacted in this war. And that really, those unfortunate words were the only words I could think about expressing at that moment.
Most of the things that have always been aggravating to me is that we have had a policy that makes one superior to the other. And we mask it with a conversation that's about justice and a two-state solution when you have policies that clearly prioritize one over the other.
Such as?
Just our relationship really with the Israeli government and the Israeli state. And so when I see Israel institute law that recognizes it as a Jewish state and does not recognize the other religions that are living in it, and we still uphold it as a democracy in the Middle East, I almost chuckle when I talk about places like Saudi Arabia or, Israel, or even now with Venezuela.
The thing that was interesting in the class was every time the professor said Al-Qaeda, he sort of his shoulders went up and,
Yeah, he's in command here.
Al-Qaeda, hospital.
He's an expert.
When you get into Congress, will you vote against U.S. military aid for Israel?
Absolutely, if it has something to do with inequality. And there's a kind of a calming feeling I always tell folks when I think of the Holocaust and the tragedy of the Holocaust and the fact that it was my ancestors, Palestinians, who lost their land and some lost their lives, their livelihood, the human dignity, their existence in many ways have been wiped out, and some people's passport. Just all of it was in the name of trying to create a safe haven for Jews. So I can't stand by and watch this attack on our freedom of speech and the right to boycott the racist policies of the government and the state of Israel. All Americans have a right, a constitutional right, guaranteed by the First Amendment to freedom of speech, to petition their government and to participate in boycotts. Americans of conscience have long and proud history of participating in boycotts, specifically to advocate for human rights abroad. Americans boycotted Nazi Germany in response to dehumanization, imprisonment, and genocide of Jewish people.
All right, hour two, Sean Hannity Show, 800-941-SEAN, toll-free telephone number. There is no courage on the part of the Democratic leadership to take on virulent anti-Semitism. There's none. They have been, Israel has been and is our closest ally in the Middle East, the only democracy in the Middle East. I'm listening to these cuts of Omar and Tlaib. Do they not know what life is like for women in some of these countries that practice Sharia law, and that women are told what to wear, whether they can even drive, if they can travel, if even going out in public without a male relative in some cases, or marital rape doesn't exist in some of these countries? We see under Sharia that there are gays and lesbians murdered just for being who they are. And of course, if you want to build a temple or a church, that is forbidden. A Christian church, that would not happen. Where is the courage of convictions? How do you say things like it's all about the Benjamins, baby? Or how do you say, as in the case of Omar, that Israel's evil and that may Allah awaken everybody? How do you compare the state of Israel in any way to Nazi Germany, which seems to be a favorite analogy of the squad, be it the detention centers or Israel, it is pretty unbelievable. Or writing for Louis Farrakhan's magazine the way Congresswoman Tlaib did. Anyway, joining us to talk about this and other issues, our friend Professor Alan Dershowitz, defending Israel, the story of my relationship with my most challenging client. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. It was amazing to just listen to some of the lies that came out of the lips of those two.
They are lies.
Congress.
It's not. No. It's Professor. It's worse than lies.
Oh, I know.
This is virulent anti-Semitism.
Yeah. The idea that Israel discriminates based on religion. Israel is the nation state of the Jewish people. The Palestinian Authority that they support have in their constitution that Palestine will be a Muslim state and no Jew will be allowed ever to own property there. In Israel, under its Declaration of Independence and under its basic laws, there's complete equal rights for Muslims, Christians, and Jews. Yes, it's the nation state of the Jewish people. But when you compare the rights that Arabs have in Israel with the rights that Arabs have in every Muslim country in the world, it's just shocking. And I lay this all out in my new book, Defending Israel. I make the case for why being anti-Israel is essentially being anti-American. And today, being anti-Israel has become a surrogate for being anti-Trump. You know, if Trump does anything pro-Israel, like recognizing Jerusalem as the capital, and I was there when the embassy
or the sovereignty of Israel with Golan. I mean,
Golan Heights.
Right.
It's immediately opposed because Trump did it. If Obama had done it, the same people who opposed it would be supporting it. One of the reasons that Israel has become my most challenging client, which is the subtitle of my book, is because today people who are anti-American, people who are anti-Trump, people who are anti-civil liberties present Israel as the paradigm for everything that's wrong. It's become a surrogate for being anti-American.
You know, I don't know if I would say it that way. I don't know. But I will say this, that if a Republican, if a conservative, so callously and thoughtlessly and frankly recklessly compares the detention center with people that didn't obey our laws, borders, sovereignty, separate issue. But, you know, when we sent, for example, Griff Jenkins down to the border in the detention center, it had a soccer field, it had rec facilities, it had TVs, they had telephones, they had beds, they had pillows and blankets, diapers and baby formula and medical attention available 24/7 with all appropriate medicines. I cannot accept when we know it's a historical fact that over 6 million Jews were slaughtered in the Holocaust. And the reckless and cavalier comparisons with detention centers, Nazi Germany, or Israel, just like boycotting Nazi Germany, is unacceptable, Professor.
It's outrageous. And, you know, boycotts are very questionable. The Ku Klux Klan boycotted black businesses. Would these members of Congress support that boycott? You're allowed to advocate a boycott under the First Amendment, but when you practice discrimination based on religion or national origin, that's illegal. It's just as illegal to discriminate against black people as it is to discriminate against people who are from Israel or Israeli companies. And so we have to distinguish between the First Amendment, which protects their right to advocate a boycott, but it doesn't protect their right to practice a boycott.
But let me ask you, though.
Boycott is practicing discrimination.
Well, first of all, historically, Israel is the Jewish homeland. So we have a 1948 partition plan, and Ben-Gurion reaches out his hand of good neighborliness and friendship and is attacked the next day. Then we have 67, 73, and, you know, then when I went there in the last conflict with the tunnels, and there's a town where you can look out, it's called Sderot and
Sderot. I've been there too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I go to the police station and I see 10,000 rockets fired in 10 years. I see the recovered rockets. Kids can't play outside because it's in such close proximity to Gaza. That
I was there when a rocket hit, just a very short distance away from me. I was in a synagogue celebrating a Jewish holiday, and they always target the synagogues. They target school buses. They target children, playgrounds. Their goal is to kill as many people, and so Israel is then induced to fire back, and occasionally a Palestinian child is killed, and they then hold him up and show him on television, I call it the dead baby strategy. They kill Israeli babies, and then they hold up their children who are used as human shields to protect
Professor, it's even worse. There's indoctrination of kids with cartoons. Here's the problem, though. We see the rise of virulent anti-Semitism in Europe. We look at the New York Times. Look at the cartoons they published.
Right.
We disagree on politics, Professor, but this is about just historical fact. And what's so shocking about the Democratic Party is they've abandoned Israel, in my view. They're allowing virulent anti-Semitism.
I think there are some in the Democratic Party who have abandoned Israel. I have no doubt about that.
Who in leadership is taking on Omar and Tlaib the way they should be taken on?
Absolutely right. They have not shown the courage in taking on the bigotry of these two members of Congress. And look, Israel had the perfect right to exclude them, whether it was a wise decision or not. I would have preferred to invite them to the Holocaust Memorial in Jerusalem, to stay route to the Golan Heights, to see what Israel faces.
Professor, I've taken it one step further. I'm offering to pay for the squad to go to Auschwitz and some of the other death camps, as long as they take a history lesson. And then when they come back, I'll send them to the detention centers. I'll pay for the whole trip. But they have to agree to listen to the historical facts of what has occurred.
Yeah, but we live in a post-fact society, and everything today is identity politics. Whose side are you on? Facts don't matter. We've heard so many misstatements of facts from members of the squad, particularly the two from the Midwest. And I just think that they have to be held to account for the lies that they have been telling, and the leaders of the Democratic Party have to stand up to them, otherwise they're going to lose Americans. Americans support Israel. It's not just the Benjamins. It's not just Jews who support Israel. Israel has widespread support because it's a democracy. It's America's strongest ally. It helps America with intelligence, with developing weapons. It's a great ally, and most Americans support Israel. And when the Democratic Party fails to stand up to two bigots who oppose Israel because it's the nation state of the Jewish people, it's going to hurt them electorally. You know, you're a Republican, I'm a Democrat. I don't want to see the Democrats hurt, but I think they're shooting themselves in the foot by some of them abandoning Israel.
Maybe some aren't abandoning Israel, but they certainly aren't taking the moral high ground and speaking out as forcefully. Now, you and I both know that if it was a Republican that said anything near what Tlaib and Omar have said, that there would be a very different reaction. This should not be a political issue to me. This is a moral issue of right and wrong, and I'll pick it up there. Professor Alan Dershowitz with us, defending Israel, the story of my relationship with my most challenging client. That's because I've never hired him yet to be my lawyer. I'd be his most challenging client, probably. Kidding. I don't need any more lawyers in my life. Hey, listen, we all want a good night's sleep. If you're like me, I'm an insomniac, but I don't even know if I can call myself an insomniac at this point, thanks to MyPillow. It's changed my life. I fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, and it's not just the pillow now. Now it's the MyPillow mattress topper and their sheets, which are amazing, and they even have, for example, the amazing offers. They have a dog bed, and you can get it as low as $19.99 because Mike Lindell has created this whole new website. You go to MyPillow.com, you just click on the Sean Hannity Square, and then you're going to get the best deals of the day. And in some cases, you're saving like 80%. And just Mike's way of saying thank you for all the support you've given him over the years. And yeah, you can get a bed for your dog, which is awesome. $19.99. It'll be the most comfortable sleep of any dog in the country. MyPillow.com, Sean Hannity Square. You get all these discounts on all these products. Or you can call 800-919-6090 and just mention, hey, I heard it on Sean Hannity. Quick break, right back.
Ready to get out of the media spin room? You've come to the right place. This is the Sean Hannity Show.
Accelerate the fastest growing agricultural additive on the market. Visit RoyalOilUS.com to learn more.
On Prime Minister Netanyahu and on Shimon Peres, all of them, and they run the gambit from liberal to conservative. And yet American liberals didn't like Israel when it was controlled by labor or by the left. For some reason, it's become a litmus test for liberals, for the left. If you like Israel, you can't be a genuine leftist. Look, if you like America, you can't be a genuine leftist in the minds of some people. When you have people like Noam Chomsky, they hate America. They hate Israel. And so the conservatives love America, obviously, and they love Israel. Some people love Israel for religious reasons.
So you should now go out and vote for Donald Trump. That's your answer.
Well, I have an open mind as to everything. I decide my election, my votes at the...
Listen, you take more crap for being friends with me than you do with him, so don't worry. You're fine.
I get a little bit from each. I'm on Martha's Vineyard, after all.
Yeah, and what happened? They tried to, ostracize Professor Dershowitz, but it didn't work.
Well, forget about ostracization. They won't let me speak at the library. They wouldn't allow me to speak on this
insane.
book.
This is
At
insane.
the library.
This is listen. We better pay attention because the last century, Nazism, fascism, Imperial Japan, communism, Stalin, Mao, run through the list. Hitler, Mussolini, Tojo. I am telling you, we lost 100 million souls in the last century. We better pay attention to this rise in virulent hatred and anti-Semitism.
Look, I agree. I wrote an article for Gatestone this week talking about the new Stalinism of the woke generation. Fortunately, another town, I live in Chilmark, they wouldn't allow me to speak in their library.
Good grief.
But another town, West Tisbury, has invited me to speak about the book tomorrow, and there are going to be massive protests.
Unbelievable.
People don't want to hear from me. They don't want to hear about Israel. They don't want to hear from somebody who has supported President Trump's rights not to be impeached under the Constitution. There's so much intolerance here on Martha's Vineyard as there is
Unbelievable.
country on the left. Yeah.
All right, Professor, good luck. We put it on Hannity.com, Amazon.com, bookstores everywhere, defending Israel. Professor Alan Dershowitz, quick break. When we come back, we'll get an update on all the success that we have had in terms of the witch hunt, what's coming, what the rest of the news media mob will never tell you. Straight ahead.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for the new ciabatta collection. How do you want it?
Ooh, I'll take the slam poetry.
Sure.
Italian ciabatta with fresh mozzarella. When hunger reigns, you're my flavor umbrella. Tasty garlic steak and provolone. With you, my taste buds are never alone. Savory chicken pesto, you have my affection. For you complete the ciabatta collection. Thank you. Get them before they're gone at Subway. Limited time only at participating restaurants.
Pitbull dogs don't know that they face discrimination, but their owners do. I'm John Bernthal, actor, father, proud Pitbull dog owner. I'm here to tell you about something called the Majority Project. Pitbull dog owners across the country are sharing pictures of themselves and their pets to break down any unfair negative stereotypes held against them. Not all Pitbull dog owners are the same, and yet the one thing that the overwhelming majority have in common is that they're responsible and law-abiding people. There are millions of Pitbull dog owners across the United States who live peacefully and unremarkably with their family pets. They're your neighbors, your friends, your family, teachers, students, athletes, scientists, public servants, and other valued members of the community. Laws that target dog owners based on their dog's breed or appearance won't protect you. Holding all reckless dog owners accountable will. Join me and thousands of others at themajorityproject.com and take action by simply taking your picture.
From the Fox Business Network on Wall Street, the major averages closing in the red amid U.S.-China trade tensions in a report that showed that manufacturing contracted in August for the first time since 2016, a sign that the trade war with China is weighing down a key sector of the economy. Tech and industrials were among the laggards, while utilities and real estate companies considered safer assets were among the gainers. With the Dow falling 285 points, the Nasdaq down 89, S&P 500 down 20. Boeing was among the big Dow laggards today. Its shares falling over 2.5% after the Wall Street Journal reported that friction between the aerospace giant and federal regulators could lengthen the grounding of Boeing's 737 MAX fleet. And in a down market, shares of Amazon gained today after RBC Capital Markets said that the e-commerce giant stock will rally nearly 50% in the coming year, and it raised its price target on Amazon to $2,600 a share. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Hillary Barsley.
Prescription products require an online physician consultation and are only available if the physician determines a prescription is appropriate. See website for full details.
Hey guys, good news. The expensive Little Blue pill is now generic, which means you can get the prescription medication to treat ED at affordable prices. And now get your first month's supply for just $5 at 4hims.com/joy. Hims connects you with real doctors online who can prescribe the medication, and a pharmacy sends it right to your door. So easy. To get your first order for just $5, you need to go to 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/joy.
Are the mesquites taking over your land? Have you got twice as many as you had last year? Well, they just get worse if you don't take control. Dalton's Custom Grubbing can help. They have large excavators to grub with, and that makes it faster, cleaner, and a lot less damaging to your land. Then they rake, pile, and burn the brush as they go. With no mess left behind, you can drive your Cadillac across it when they're done. Dalton's Custom Grubbing, 940-733-3020, and on Facebook.
At Simpson Carpet Company, we think outside the box, the big blue box, where cash makes a difference.
Simpson Carpet Company is having a cash and carry sale on all of their in-stock merchandise right now. If you're looking for new floor covering for your home, your rental, or your business, you won't find better prices. Custom installation is also available. So bring your pickups, bring your trailers, or bring your semis. Just take the Kell Freeway past Southwest Parkway and do not exit until you get to Simpson Carpet Company.
And remember, always look for the big blue box.
Non-attorneys. At First Bank, we believe that good means taking great care of our customers, not just their accounts. I feel like I should specify something. We don't mean like feed you and dress you. You're on your own there. Go to eatfirstbank.com to open an Anywhere account today. First Bank, banking for good. Member FDIC.
Spokesperson ad sponsored by OpenJar Concepts. Attention veterans and active duty military. If you were issued earplugs between 2002 and 2016 and were diagnosed with hearing loss or ringing in the ears, you may be entitled to compensation. The manufacturer of these military earplugs recently paid $9.1 million to resolve claims that their earplugs were defective, potentially exposing service members to damaging sound levels that could have resulted in hearing loss or tinnitus. If you or a loved one were issued earplugs and were diagnosed with tinnitus or hearing loss, don't wait. You fought for this country, and our attorneys want to fight for you. Call 800-856-2940 now for a free legal consultation and to see if you may be eligible to file a claim. Time restrictions may apply, and you pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. So call 800-856-2940 now. Again, 800-856-2940. That's 800-856-2940.
Hannity online at Hannity.com.
So were all of your memos that you recorded on classified or other documents, memos that might be yours as a private citizen?
I'm sorry, I'm not following the question.
Well, I think you said you'd use classified.
Oh, yeah, not the classified documents. Unclassified. I don't have any of them anymore. I gave them to the special counsel. But, yeah, my view was that the content of those unclassified, the memorialization of those conversations was my recollection recorded.
Senator Grassley, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, says that there are 7 memos. He says 4 of them are classified. Is that right?
I don't know, because I don't have the memos. I don't know exactly how many there are. Some may be memos, some may be emails. There's somewhere between 5 and 10. It may be 7, it may be 8. I don't remember. And I think some of them, I know when I created some of them, they were classified.
The president's tweeted innumerable times calling you a leaker. Well, what's your response to President Trump?
Look, it's true. I mean, I'm the one who testified about it. That's how people know about it. I gave that unclassified memo to my friend and asked him to give it to a reporter. That is entirely appropriate.
So if you're releasing memos which may later on be classified, which happened to Hillary Clinton as well, aren't you taking a risk that you think you know, oh, this is not going to be classified, but it turns out one of them was retroactive?
I don't think of it as a risk. You're making an educated judgment based on your training and your experience as to what's classified and what's not.
So, but you did leak memos. I mean, is it okay for somebody at the FBI to leak something, an internal document, even if it's not classified? Isn't that leaking?
Well, there's a whole lot wrong with your question, Anderson. First, I didn't leak memos.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. And I love how he says, well, I gave the memos to the special counsel's office. Well, if we're going to be technically accurate, we now know a month after he was fired, he got a visit from people that, used to work for him. And they retrieved the memos. They're the ones that interrogated Comey. They're the ones that said he lacked candor. And if you listen to all the different answers closely here, what you're hearing is Jim Comey, basically Mr. Super Patriot, lying through his teeth. That's how I interpret the thing, because he's obfuscating every answer. He knows exactly what he's doing. Anyway, we have a lot of deep state news. Glad you're with us. 24 now till the top of the hour. 800-941-SEAN. Great piece by Andy McCarthy that Trump was always the target of the Russia investigation. This new report is detailing Comey's plan to ambush Donald Trump. This was in the Washington Examiner with the Russian hooker story. And some people even were concerned that he was trying to subtly blackmail the president. We have updates on General Flynn's attorney. Our friend Sidney Powell has petitioned the court to hold Mueller and his gang in contempt and get him kicked off the case. She should absolutely win that motion. And frankly, the entire plea needs to be withdrawn, considering we now know they purposefully denied General Flynn of his constitutional rights and his Miranda warning. And we know the information that they had on him. Oh, they obtained illegally through unmasking and raw intelligence that never should have been leaked. And, of course, we have Andrew McCabe admitting that, I told him he didn't need an attorney. And then Comey bragging, took full advantage of the chaos on day 4 of the Trump administration. And I did what I'd never do in the Bush or Obama years. And I took advantage of the chaos when he sent his guys in. And this is only the tip of the iceberg. And when you see, that every report now confirming, and Andy Biggs, who I'm going to introduce to you in a moment, actually said that he believes that when the IG report on FISA comes out, it will end with indictments. Congressman Andy Biggs of Arizona joins us, as well as Greg Jarrett, Fox News legal analyst. His sequel, Witch Hunt, the story of the greatest mass delusion in American political history. It's out next month. Welcome, both of you. I know a lot of conservatives, including myself. When you look at, Michael Cohen and General Flynn and Paul Manafort and Papadopoulos, they all got in trouble for lack of candor. Well, why hasn't there been an indictment of McCabe? Why hasn't there been an indictment of Comey just on what we know now before we get into the next IG report? Andy.
Yeah, well, Sean, you're right. I think we all expect accountability here. And I believe that one of the reasons that the IG released this report separately is to kind of isolate what he thought might be a weaker case against James Comey and some of the other folks that are going to be in there on the FISA. Don't forget Comey's role in the FISA applications. He was reviewing them. He was signing under perjury conditions, and he was saying things that we know were not true. And so I would imagine that that's going to end up pushing him right into some criminal culpability. That's what I would think would happen.
I actually agree with your analysis about the Attorney General's decision-making on this, and that he decided not to go with a case where you have to prove intent. I still think it's a winnable case, but then you have to factor in, well, where's it going to be tried? And that would be the D.C. Circuit, Greg Jarrett, if I'm not wrong. And that makes it an iffy proposition anytime it's either a Democrat or Republican, because the likelihood of having more Democrats on a jury are dramatic, right?
It's true. I think in the end, the prosecutors in the Attorney General's office said, well, what would Comey's defense be? Only that a few words were actually classified, that he didn't view them at the time as classified, even though they were retroactively classified. None of that's actually a defense, but it sounds really good, and it would be to a jury. So I think in the end, they've decided we likely have a much stronger case that will be identified in the forthcoming Inspector General's report for lying to a FISA court, deceiving the judges, and concealing vital evidence. So I agree with the congressman. I think Comey is in a world of trouble. He signed off on 3 of the FISA warrants. McCabe signed off, so he's in jeopardy. Sally Yates, Rod Rosenstein. So, I think we have to keep our powder dry, wait until the next Inspector General report comes forward, and then, let loose, because I think it's going to be damning and ugly, as Lindsey Graham called it.
I always like to judge these things, Congressman Biggs. What would happen to Hannity? I'm just wondering. For example, if I had top secret classified information that I put on a private server that the Chinese apparently were hacking into and Peter Strzok didn't care about, but putting that aside, or if I had a subpoena, let's say from a committee you're on in Congress, and I decided to delete those emails and clean my hard drive and have an aide bust up my devices with hammers and remove SIM cards, or if I'm warned about a certain document known as a dossier that is paid for by an opposition party candidate, and I use it as the basis for the application to spy on an American citizen and a backdoor way to spy on a presidential candidate, then a transition team, then a president, why do I think what would happen to Hannity or anyone else, the rest of us, meaning we smelly Walmart voters and Trump supporters, shoppers at Walmart, irredeemable deplorables, why do I think that most of us would be treated very differently?
Because I think you're looking at this rationally, Sean, because the reality is virtually anybody else other than Hillary Clinton or a top-level Democrat is going to be treated exactly as you say. We're going to be indicted. We're going to have to defend this thing. It's going to affect our lives, perhaps our finances. And the reality is you saw people at the top of the DOJ and the FBI use their power apparatus to basically shelter Hillary Clinton because she was a powerful Democrat leader and they thought she was going to be president. And when President Trump came in, we heard Strzok talk about insurance policy. They wanted to derail.
Do you agree with Mayor Giuliani, who said this weekend that, in fact, Comey was attempting to frame the president, pointing exactly to what you just mentioned, the infamous insurance policy note to Lisa Page? And do you agree with that?
Yes, I think it was more than just a frame. I think it was basically a coup attempt, quite frankly. It was a soft coup attempt.
Do you believe, why do you think, if John Solomon and I are right, he thinks, well, we're going to have the FISA IG report, then we're probably going to have a report on leaking, so my sources tell me. But then I have sources telling me that with all the time that Durham has now spent abroad in Europe, talking to, let's say, Christopher Steele for 16 hours, but more importantly, digging down deep and whether or not, in fact, American intelligence gathering and spying on Americans happened illegally, circumventing American laws by subcontracting or outsourcing the intelligence gathering to allied countries. Do you believe that took place?
I do. I think this was a setup from the very beginning.
Who would be involved in that? Would that be Brennan? Would that be Clapper? Would that be Comey? Who do you think's involved?
Yes, and it could go higher than that, and I suspect it did. You're looking at the use of the national intelligence apparatus as well as our police state for political purposes. And the George Papadopoulos thing looks and smells like an absolute setup of a very, with all due respect to Mr. Papadopoulos, a rather inconsequential, tangential person related to the Trump campaign. And that just, it looks and smells like an entrapment. And I tend to think that when all the evidence comes out, that's what we're going to see, and then people need to be fired and go to prison for that.
What do you think, Greg Jarrett? Do you believe all that happened?
I do, and I think John Brennan is at the center of it. As I call him in both books, he's the instigator of this. Why do you think people like...
wait a minute. Is he the instigator of this, or is Andy McCarthy right in saying that any counterintelligence operation begins in the Oval Office and would be a president's counterintelligence operation? That would be Barack Obama, the president at the time.
It's both, because the instigator, Brennan, is acting on behalf of the existing president of the United States, which is Barack Obama. I mean, Carter Page and George Papadopoulos were lured. They were the subject of FBI undercover informant target, more than one of them. And it was paid for with essentially hidden money from the Pentagon to the tune of about $500,000 that was paid to Stefan Halper. We don't know how much other money exchanged hands as well. So, yes, the American intelligence communities, plural, were outsourcing or subcontracting, as you say, their dirty work because laws prohibit them from doing so on American soil. So, this is the tip of the iceberg. I think there are things in this that will shock everyone that we don't yet know. And as to your original point, Comey, Brennan, Clapper, and Mike Rogers set up a trap in January of 2017, an ambush of Trump, to try to ensnare him into saying something incriminating about the so-called P-tape. Comey misled and lied to Trump, telling him he wasn't being investigated, when in fact he was. And as the most recent last week's IG reports out, Comey and his cohorts had a whole scheme of how Comey would jump in his waiting SUV, start furiously typing and transcribing what Trump said in that set-up meeting. What does it tell us? Trump was set up.
We'll take a break. We'll come back. More with Congressman Andy Gibbs and more with Greg Jarrett. We'll update you on the hurricane. Joe Bastardi, our official meteorologist, will join us. And then we'll get to your calls next half hour. 800-941-SEAN is our number. All right. I've been telling you how much I love the company Tecovas. I wish I was an owner in this company. I really do. These guys are amazing. They sold everything, and they make the greatest products, the best boots, the best duffel bags, the best belts, wallets, etc. But right now, they have a great promotion just for you, my listeners. You're going to get, with any $150 purchase you make today, and you're going to get the best boots at least half the price. Same quality, but you buy direct. You will get free their calfskin soft leather card case, which is stunning. It's hand stitched in a beautiful bourbon color. It's really cool. I have one myself. It's $45, but you get it free if you get a pair of boots or whatever you like to buy it on Tecovas. I like their jeans too. It's my favorite pair of jeans now, and I have them on right now. I can take a picture. I don't know if you want to see my jeans. Anyway, Tecovas never offers discounts because you're already getting half off. That happens every day. But this is a special free gift just for today for my audience, my listeners. So when you put on your Tecovas boots, remember, 200 steps, and you save all that money because you're buying direct, and it is made the old-fashioned way with the highest quality available, and it's just a unique opportunity. With a $150 purchase, you're going to get the best boots you've ever had, and you're going to get the hand-stitched calfskin soft leather card case, which is very cool. You're going to love it. Just go to tecovas.com/Hannity, and don't forget, put Hannity in checkout. You get the free card case. AS.com/Hannity and promo code Hannity. We'll continue.
Edit King Ted Koppel says Sean Hannity is bad for America. Sean Hannity.
Get the most superior lubricants on the market today. Visit RoyalOilUS.com.
All right, Labor Day is coming up, and Blinds.com, they want to celebrate hardworking Americans by offering you up to 50% off on custom blinds, shades, and plantation shutters. Now, I just love Blinds.com. So does Jonathan in Louisiana. He says, quote, I heard about Blinds.com when I was listening to Hannity. I checked out their 2-inch deluxe wood blinds. The prices were great, installation simple and easy, and the blinds look incredible. Now, Blinds.com, every order gets free online professional design consultation, free shipping, 100% satisfaction guarantee. Even if you pick the wrong color, they'll remake the blinds, no extra charge. Go to Blinds.com now through September the 3rd. These huge Labor Day savings, up to 50% off everything. And as a Hannity listener, well, when you use the promo code Hannity, you get an extra $20 off on top of that. Just go to Blinds.com for up to half off your entire order and an additional $20 off by using the promo code Hannity. That's Blinds.com, promo code Hannity. Rules, restrictions apply.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Let's talk credit card debt for a minute. If you feel you're carrying too much of it, you're not alone. The average household in the U.S. carries over $8,000 in credit card debt. Ready for some good news? With a cash-out refinance from Quicken Loans, you can quickly and easily put some of the equity in your home to good use by paying off a lot of that high-interest credit card debt. A great way to take cash out is with our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 4.125%. APR 4.22%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN to learn how taking cash out with a 30-year fixed mortgage might be the right solution for you. And for a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rates subject to change. Pay 0.88% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
You do it right to update your home and stick to your budget. Lowe's is here to help with Labor Day savings throughout the store. Upgrade your appliances and save up to 40% off select appliance special values, like a Samsung front-load laundry pair with steam in a champagne finish was $19.98 and now is just $13.96. And refresh your home with $15 off gallon cans and $45 off 5-gallon pails via Lowe's gift card rebate when you buy select interior and exterior paint and stain. This Labor Day, do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Paint offer valid through 9/4, appliance offer valid through 9/11, U.S. only.
Over the past 50 years, SCORE mentors have helped more than 10 million small business owners succeed for free.
Starting business can be incredibly confusing.
SCORE really helped me steer the course.
Whatever the business, there's a SCORE mentor that has the experience and know-how to help you reach your goals.
SCORE mentors are serious business experts.
Whether you're a startup or an existing business, SCORE can provide the perspective and advice that ensures success.
My SCORE mentor has been tremendously helpful in the marketing of my business.
SCORE is a nonprofit organization where we provide free business consulting services to people who want to start a business or already in business.
Are you starting or growing a business? Be one of the next 10 million small businesses helped for free by SCORE. Get your free business mentor at score.org.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
All right, final moments as we continue with Congressman Andy Biggs and Greg Jarrett. Then we'll get an update on the weather with Joe Bastardi, and your call's coming up next. All right, so what happens, Greg Jarrett? Do you agree with Congressman Andy Biggs that there'll be indictments when the FISA report comes out?
I think there'll be criminal referrals made to the Department of Justice. I think Durham already knows what they are. They might actually have already been made. Remember, before last week's IG report, it was preceded by criminal referral against James Comey. So I think those referrals probably have already occurred.
What do you think, Congressman Biggs? Do you believe that? Because I know if they get away with this, to me, forget it. The Constitution, you might as well shred it. There's no equal justice or equal application of our laws, and we'll have a dual justice system.
Well, I agree with Greg, Sean. I think that some of the referrals have already been made, and I think it's going to be a bloody, disgusting report when we see it. And you know what? I think people are going to be held accountable. I got to believe that, because otherwise you're right, and we have a two-tiered system.
Would we need a grand jury necessarily for that to happen, or couldn't the Attorney General do it on his own? Last question, Greg.
Under federal law, you have to have a grand jury for any felony indictment. So prosecutors may have considered already the FISA criminal referrals, and they may soon convene a grand jury. We'll wait and see.
All right. Thank you very much, both of you. 800-941-SEAN. All right. The latest on the hurricane from hell, Hurricane Dorian, and now slowly creeping its way towards the eastern coast of the U.S., and that means Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and straight up the eastern seaboard. We'll get to that and your calls coming up straight ahead.
Baseball today. It's the American way. Of course, the next best thing to a seat in the stands is a seat in front of a 19-inch RCA Victor television. One more day to Labor Day weekend, the traditional occasion for tasty outdoor barbecues or picnics.
agree with all the obstacles and with all the enemies who are between me and...
This is Times Square, 42nd Street.
Transfer is available. 1 second.